money on the table because you don't realize how to take full advantage of the content you create. Many, but definitely not all, content creators focus on one type of content. They're comfortable making that type of content and they're good at it. They may write books, they may make YouTube videos, write blog posts, speak at conferences, or even create wildly successful TikTok or one of the myriad of other types of content that we discuss on this channel. Stick around until the end when I explain how the worst part of limiting yourself to one type of content is that you are potentially endangering your entire content creation empire. Here's why I create multiple types of content and think you should as well. Reason number one, the money factor. Now, some might say this is the most important factor, but not really, and the others are all impacted by it. It's hard to make a decent living from one type of content. Yes, there are superstars who earn millions from their books or their YouTube videos, but the lion's share of content creators do not fall under that umbrella. And if you look closely at some of the megastars on any platform, you'll quickly discover that they are elsewhere as well. Sure, Stephen King and J.K. Rowling's books have been turned into movies, and Mr. Beast has turned his YouTube empire onto Amazon Prime with a game show, among other things. And Tony Robbins, the popular motivational speaker, also shares his advice in numerous best-selling books. And you can do the same. Not quite at that level, but you can do the same. And as I said, this channel is all about how you can do that. Reason number two, I call this one the lazy factor. Okay, there's probably a better name for it, like the efficiency factor, but you'll see what I mean as I discuss this a little further. A hidden benefit of sharing content over multiple formats is that you can reuse the same content with just a few tweaks. I often take my YouTube script and reformat that information into an article for my newsletter. Many of my newsletter articles also end up in my books. If the information is good and something you think your audience would want to hear or read about, you can simply rewrite what you originally created in far less time than it might take you to develop a new piece of content. And if I'm being entirely honest, this really comes in handy when you're on deadline and running out of time. Reason number three, the total target audience factor. Let me explain. When you have different types of content, you'll have access to a much larger audience and hence you'll make more money. When most people are looking for information, they usually turn to the medium that they are most comfortable with. So for some, it might be doing a Google search and looking for an article. There are people who like to read and there are people who like to watch videos. I like to read and can read very quickly, so I almost always will do a quick internet search when I want to know how to do something. However, I realize I'm in the minority. Others are apt to turn to YouTube when looking for information or instructions. And sometimes, even when I read the instructions, it doesn't make sense. And so then I'll look at a YouTube video because I can actually see what's going on. So it will depend upon what the information is. Those looking to capture as large an audience as possible will make sure they share their content in both written and video/audio format. And a portion of your audience will consume the content you produce in multiple formats. At the end of the day, the larger your potential audience, the more likely you are to learn. And the more markets you're in, the larger your audience will be. And for those who have not yet dipped their toe into the video market, here's something else to consider. Do you know what the top streaming platform for TVs in the US is right now? It's not Netflix. In February 2025, YouTube surpassed Netflix US TV viewership. If you're not making content for that platform, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. If you're interested in starting or expanding a content creation business, or you just want to improve your content creation skill set, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back each week with additional insights, and I'll share what I've learned writing and publishing over 20 books and over 700 videos, and how I did it, along with insights from some of my most successful colleagues. And I've got quite a few, by the way. And now back to our story. Remember in the beginning when I said if you didn't create content over multiple categories, you might be endangering your entire empire? Well, here we are with reason number 4, the safety factor. Don't put all your content creation eggs in one content basket. This is Finance 101 advice that applies to content creators as well. If something happens to the market for the type of content you create, you're up the you-know-what creek without a paddle. When COVID hit, public speakers who relied on big conferences and other live settings were in big trouble as their income dried up overnight. Yes, they could pivot online to an online platform, but that takes time. Professional organizations who got the lion's share of their income from their annual live conference found themselves in a similar, very uncomfortable boat. And the change doesn't have to be this drastic or this unsettling. It could simply be that the market changes. When I started my content creation entrepreneurial journey, if you will, my main product, and by that I mean my main income producer, was a 16-page print newsletter. Today, that is a very minor part of my revenue stream. And as I'm sure you can guess, it's no longer print. It's a digital product. I don't have to print it and mail it and all that. And now, reason number 5, the everything changes fact. Sharing content in multiple formats allows you to develop new skills. In fact, in many instances, you have to develop new skills in order to get your content out there. As I've already mentioned, I started with a print newsletter, which I also turned into books. You'll notice that these basically rely on the same set of skills, basically knowing how to write how-to stuff. But you're watching this on YouTube or possibly listening to it on a podcasting channel. The skills required for this are quite different, even though the information that I share is quite similar. In fact, sometimes it's exactly the same. And I had tons to learn when I started on the video journey, and I'm still learning. I knew nothing about filming, editing, lighting, scripting for films, which is a little something different from writing articles and books. And it's even, by the way, different than from giving talks at live conferences, although there are some similarities there. But I did, and in other videos, I'll share exactly how I did that, spending only a few dollars along the way. Mostly I used what I had, and I bought headphones, and not really expensive ones because I managed to break them all the time. So I'm probably on my 4th or 5th headset. You can get them for $20 or $30 on Amazon. Of course, you can spend a lot more. That's another story for another time. I believe it is critical for any professional in almost any business, not just content creation, but especially if you want to be a successful content creator, that they keep developing new skills and adapting to new markets. To put it in perspective, let me share this. The first YouTube video was posted in 2005. It was a short one, and it was called something like My Trip to the Zoo. Before that, the idea of sharing information via video was unfathomable unless you were prepared to spend a boatload of money to create it. And let's face it, most of us are not in a position to do that. Today, anyone, anywhere, with a computer or a smartphone can create an account and start creating, and eventually, with a little skill, which you can acquire, perseverance, and a tiny bit of luck, earn a reasonable living. And millions have done just that. Instagram launched in 2010, TikTok in 2016. At the end of 2007, Amazon launched its self-publishing platform, making it possible and affordable for anyone to publish a book without jumping through all the hoops put forth by traditional publishers. All of these outlets provide the platform content creators and, God help us all, influencers earn a decent living if you work at it. And there's more coming. What? I wish I could look into my crystal ball and tell you exactly what is coming, but it's a little murky today and I can't see anything. But I do know this. There will be individuals who will see the emerging platform and realize its potential. Hopefully you and I will be among them. They'll be the early adopters and become a pro at using it and maximizing their income potential. You need to stay alert so that one of those successful early adopters could be you. And we're here to help you with that, as well as get you along your content creation journey. So please click on the link that has appeared on your YouTube screen so you can watch the latest video we produced to help you be successful and earn as much money as you can. Good luck.